Hey, it's Jacob here with Lansweeper Pro Tip 66, which is a follow-up part 2 to Pro Tip 64, where I used Flow Builder to integrate with Intune to match assets and to grab Intune information such as the Intune ID and the Azure ID and the last time it checked in, etc. So this follow-up, we will be using Flow Builder to pass that Azure ID to Intune and add and remove endpoints into groups. So with those groups, you can do anything you want to do. You can do compliance, you can do ASR rules for Defender, but in this case, I will be showing a deployment package that is assigned to this group. Flow Builder is currently in beta, so if you don't have it, go to lansweeper.com/beta and sign up or join the list and get access. From the first one, which you're going to need to go through in order to do this one, sorry if you have to watch that video, but from the first one, we will have these IDs and specifically the Azure ID from the endpoints that we matched. So here it is right here in our custom field that we made. The next part, which was actually pretty difficult for me to do, is to make the Lansweeper cloud report that shows endpoints with missing software. In this particular case, Notepad++. This should be published to your report section by the time this goes live, but this right here was difficult and required a little bit of code. So I really wanted to spend some time here and kind of walk you through getting this report to work. But the good news is you have it in your library to just have missing software when you want it. So we're going to edit this report, and since we took the information from Intune and wrote it to custom fields, it's easy to add to any report. So in order to do that with this report, you're going to type in, we named it in the last one, Intune _ Azure AD device ID. And you see right here it says custom fields. So you know that that's the right one because there's lots of Intune stuff for data from the official integration that we have. So we're going to add it right there and then go down to the next step. It cascades. So you'll need to add it to each particular one before the next step even knows that it's there. So the next one is where all the funky code is, and I will spare you the code because I only understand half of it. But here's a tip within a tip. You can take, and which is what I did, you can take all of Esmond's really cool reports for the 0-day alerts or audits and the Patch Tuesday reports, and where he went in and painstakingly put in code, I just took that code and put it into GPT to give it examples of the syntax that this report builder uses, and then I went through there and had it help me make the syntax for this particular code block. So right here, all you really need to know is in the middle of it, you can put and reuse this and put whatever software name that you want to do. So you can make a copy of this and put LS agent, and then you have one for your LS agent, but I digress. So once you add the Intune Azure ID at the top, you'll also need to then add it to this code block. And in order to do that, there's a little custom fields button right here. And you'll want to go and you'll want to find Intune _ Azure AD device ID because you're going to need the the programmatic name of the field, which is this long big thingy right here. So we're going to copy it and we're going to put it you don't really, I mean, you could put it anywhere. We're going to put it right here and just follow the syntax. And then of course it'll show up on the right if you've done it right. If it errors out, you're not holding your mouth right, try it again, maybe like that. So the next part is you scroll down and you will need to add it to the group step because it's a unique item and we're doing a sum below it. We're going to need to group on it. So there it is. It's right there to select because we added it above it. And then scroll down right here to the fields after we've done the summing of the software and add the Azure ID. And here is where I cheated and I just put operating system starts with Windows 1. Because there could be servers in Intune, not usually, but there could be. So then you add where the Intune Azure device ID exists. Now, what this does here is if we pull the endpoints where it has the ID, that means we have an asset match and we know that it's in Intune. So then we go up and we save the report. And there are my 2 endpoints in Azure, and there's the IDs that are missing Notepad++. The next step is you'll want to go over and press the API button, set up the API in the developer options. We went through that in the first part. But you'll go and just select the API client that you've chosen. I have a million, but then you'll get you'll be able to use it in Flow Builder. So now on to Flow Builder, and here's another part that gets fun, so sit back and buckle up. The first part is after you add your Intune and Lansweeper connections, we have here where you can get the Lansweeper report. The next section will be setting up the Intune group. So right here in the Intune Admin Center, under Groups, I filtered for Notepad because I named my group Needs Notepad Managed by Flow Builder. It's important to name the group so you don't get confused that this is coming from Flow Builder. This is your standard security group for devices. And then what you can do, as you probably know, is you make an application. And in this case, we packaged Notepad++ and we assigned it to this group. Now, what you will want to make note of is the object ID, because we're going to need that to plug into Flow Builder. When you say get group membership or add members to group, you give it the object ID of the group. So make note of that. And I will just go in it. And right here, I have 1 member. Disregard it. Red Rover is problematic. I don't like Red Rover. I can never get it out. That's neither here nor there. I digress again. So now on to another fun part. This flow was a little bit more complicated than I first thought. And the reason is because, again, like the first part of this series, Microsoft, for some reason, chose to not just pass it an object ID to the API to get the information from Intune, but you have to actually craft and pass the whole URL. So there are some code blocks. Fortunately, you can do any of that stuff in Flow Builder. It's just that it will take some custom code to get that to happen. So right here, we will probably, for the sake of time, just go through the initial configuration of these components, and then I will show you an executed run and walk through what it does with the data. So first off, you'll need the ID of your report. So again, you go grab that ID from the URL of that report, and you will paste it right in there. The next thing for clean CSV data code block is you'll need to see, depending on if you modify the report enough, you will need to see which field contains the Azure ID, because that's what it keys off of. And in this case, it is field number 9. So we're going to hide that, and you're going to go into the code here. It could be 8, could be 9, something like that. And you're going to go into the 2 lines where it actually keys off of that field to remove the first and last row. In this particular case, the last row. And you will put in and edit this. Mine says 9. So row 9, row 9, row 9 as far as the field. If it's 8, you just modify it, put 8 or whatever it is. So that's what you have to do there. We'll go down to the get current members of the Intune connector, which is list group members. And you will need the object ID of the group you made, and you just paste it right there. That's all you need for that little component. And you will, down here, do the same thing for the add group members. You just put in the group ID that we had in the group here. So that's everything you need to do to modify this flow. Now let's go and take a look at the data that it returns. Scroll, 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 scroll. Okay, so the first thing is it gets the Lansweeper report. We put the ID in for the report, and the result is one big payload in one little index or field. And there it is right there. If it's a 500 endpoints, it's going to be really, really, really long. So what you have to do is put the parse step in, which will reference the report results, and it'll turn it into something more digestible. It will take it and index each row of that, which will be the header, all the records, and a trailing end row. So right here we have the header of our report. So there's all our columns and my 2 endpoints that from the report, and a trailing blank. And usually that's not a problem, but in the case where we are building URLs to pass to Intune, because thanks Microsoft, you can't just pass in an ID, that will cause us some severe headaches. So in order to get around that, I put in a code block called clean CSV data. And this is the one, again, where you edit it to field 8 or field 9 or or whatever the field was. So here, the results, it will remove the first header and the last row. So you just have your results of the report. So there's my two workstations right there. No header, and really important, no blank trailing. At this point, we're going to loop over. So there's the current item is Windows 11.1, and down here there is that Azure ID. We need that Azure ID, so we keep passing it down, and it will reference the step before it, the clean CSV data, clean data for results, clean data. And we will pass this, the loops object ID. So right here, current item, number 9. So you can see that if you go in and edit here. So this right here, this custom request is building. It's connected to the API URL, which is /device / device ID equals that big object, and you're going to select the ID. So that will in turn give us an ID. So there is a return value, which is, this is just the first one of the loop. So this is one of the two object IDs. It returns it right here. Now this will do a branch to check and see if it exists. So if that object ID, the results.value, if it exists, then it's found. We have an object ID and we can go forward. Else just log and quit. So once you have that object ID, what we will have to do, since we have to pass all of this stuff to Intune, all the URLs kind of concatenated, we have to make a list. So right here, there is a component called append value to list, and we will name it found Intune IDs list, and we will give it the value of the lookup graph again, and give it the object ID. So right here, there's the key, found Intune IDs list, there is the object ID. And again, there's only one here because this is only the first iteration of the loop. When you go through this stuff with loops, you will, in the test runs, only see the first record. So after that, it will go through the loop and it will put together with this connector right here called execution persist data get value. And what this will do is you put in the key and it will just create a list. So right here, get final list. The output of this one is both of my object IDs. At this point, it gets even more fun because I had to put in a code block to take those object IDs and make that URL. So we're going to make the URL / object ID. And that is some complicated, fun code here, courtesy of me having nice long conversations with GPT and Gemini and Grok until I got the thing working. So fortunately, I went through the headache, so you don't have to. But right here is the code block. It's commented if you want to see what it does, but it will basically take that object ID and make the URL, and we can see it here. So we took the list and now we have our two URLs. There is graphmicrosoft.com directory object / there's your object ID. At this point, we're going to do another Intune connection or call, and we're going to list the group members because we need to see what's in there first before we go any further. And you, again, give it the group ID from here. And it will return in my case, one record. I have one member in my Intune, which is Red Rover, that I can't get rid of for some reason. So yours will have none. Mine has one that is stuck there and will never go away. So now another little code block here to build the URL map, to build the long section here. And then it will filter in another code block just the new members. So right here, it will compare and just say, hey, give me the new ones. So if I had 4 above for my report and there were 2 already in there, this code block will filter it. And again, a nice code block courtesy of arguments with GPT, but it will return the 2 that I need to add. So right here, we will go through the branch, which again calls the filter new members results. This is crazy, guys. I know, I'm sorry. It's a little bit more complicated than I originally thought, but we did it. So we're going to add the group members with that ID that we already put in there. And for the member IDs, which is where I had a heart attack because the example on it, there's that big, long, comma concatenated URLs. So we point it to filter new members results, and we get successfully added members to group, which is the best thing that you want to see. So there you go. That's, without getting into the code, basically that's what it is to get it going. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually run it. So hang on tight. So there's my stuck Red Rover. And we are going to execute this. There we go. So as a result, I will refresh this, and there are our 2 endpoints that are missing Notepad++ from this report into the group here. So now I have that app here. Where you can set up the Intune win file, follow directions online if you don't know how to do a deployment package. But right here, you set it up and you assign it required to that needs Notepad group. And what will happen at this point is it will install Notepad++ on your endpoints. And again, you can use this for anything you want to do as far as the groups. If you want to do the attack surface reduction defender rules, or if you want to do missing LS agent and you want to make a deployment package for LS agent, you can do that. So you can do anything you want that will key off of an Intune group. And again, you can take this and you can modify it to remove assets from groups. So you can just change the add group members to remove the group members. So I know that was real complicated. So I got a little ahead over my head, but thanks for staying with me if you did stick around this long. And all of this stuff will be in the blog article. But the thing I really like again with Lansweeper is there is a way to do things. You may not see it initially, but with Lansweeper and the flexibility of on-premise or the cloud, especially with Flow Builder now, you can make it happen. And that is Pro Tip 66. Thanks for sticking with me, and I will see you in the next one.